The Purple Line is a community podcast, bringing you in-depth conversation with diverse leaders in the public and private sectors. Whether you're a student looking to gather advice or a professional tuning in for valuable resources, our dynamic programming provides tips for all ages and backgrounds. I'm your host, Emily Benavides, and this is The Purple Line. Thanks for joining CHLI's Purple Line podcast. We're joined today by Sol Ortega, the Public Engagement Advisor at NASA and one of our illustrious CHLI alumni. Thanks so much for joining us, Sol.
No, thank you guys so much for having me.
So let's start back when you decided to apply for the CHLI program. What year did you end up doing the program?
Yeah, I did the program spring 2017.
Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to apply?
Sure. It was my senior year. It was my last semester in senior year. And I was just looking for different opportunities to kind of branch out a little bit from my college education. One of my friends tagged me on the CHLI post on Facebook, back, when people use Facebook. And I was able to apply. And then, I was just super excited to be able to get in and come to DC.
Wonderful. And you haven't looked back since?
No, I really haven't. I thought I was only going to be here just for the program, maybe, do another program and then go back. And then, now 8 years later, or whatever it is, still here in DC.
Yeah, and working at NASA as a political appointee, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about how you developed the network to be able to get a wonderful job like that?
Sure. I mean, I think it definitely all started with CHLI. We got a lot of different professional seminars to teach us how to network, teach us how to have conversations with folks. So that was definitely the first start. Then I continued with another internship program that summer, which also helped me kind of grow my network here in DC. I relied a lot on the Congressional Hispanic Staff Association since after the internship on the Hill. I ended up working on the Hill, so that kind of helped me expand my network. And then luckily when President Biden got elected, some of the same people that I was either in college with or on the Hill with, flagged different jobs and opportunities for me, knowing the type of work that I like to do. Somehow I got here to NASA.
Is NASA the only place that you served in the executive branch?
No, I also worked at the White House doing public engagement at the Office of Public Engagement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Sure. So I had just left the Hill. I was working at Building Back Together, which is a nonprofit that also helps the administration. And there was an opening for a Latino engagement position at the White House. So one of my friends that I went to college with, which coincidentally was the same friend that flagged CHLI for me, mentioned that job was open. She said that my background really matched it, so she really encouraged me to apply. I was able to apply. I didn't think I would get it, but one thing led to the other, and I was able to start. It was right in the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month, so I got to see the programming for Hispanic Heritage Month and try to be helpful as much as I could there. And then I stayed there for about 1 year and 8 months before I transitioned to NASA.
That's wonderful. And talking about heritage, let's dive in a little bit into your heritage.
Sure.
What's your background?
I'm Peruvian. I was born in Peru.
Oh, you were born there?
Yeah.
What was it like to immigrate to the United States?
Yeah, it was definitely very tough. I came here when I was 7 years old with my parents, migrated to Kissimmee, lived there, and it was very interesting because I got to meet a lot of people from different cultures and different backgrounds in Kissimmee. So it was definitely very, very interesting. It was hard to learn the language, but we made it through.
Well, clearly you did very well now that you're working in the executive branch. That's an amazing trajectory. How did it feel to be able to walk into the White House and work there?
I don't think I ever thought that I would go work at the White House. Like I said, when I migrated here, I was undocumented for a while, so I never thought federal government was something that I would be able to pursue. Thankfully, the path ended up kind of working out so that I was able to come to CHLI, come to work on the Hill, and now at the White House. So it was definitely surreal. My parents didn't really understand what it was that I was doing. but that was probably like the best experience, was being able to bring not only my parents but other people into the White House and let them see kind of like how their government works and how they could be a value in the work that we're doing.
So what was it like bringing your parents to DC to see you working at the White House?
Once I got the job and once I started, I brought them in pretty immediately within like the first month because I didn't know, what could happen. I don't know. I was still like under imposter syndrome, and I thought that maybe I'd get fired in like the next month or so I had to bring them in as quickly as possible. So I brought them in. It was really like surreal, right? Like they migrated from Peru. They didn't know what my future was going to look like, and now being able to bring them there was like a really proud moment for them. I remember when I took my dad and we toured the Oval Office, he was like, you can't take pictures in there. So he was like, who's gonna believe me that I was in here? And I was like, I don't know, you just have to just like sell it, I don't know, because you can't take pictures in there. But he was just like, wow, and like just learning the history of being inside that in the West Wing was definitely something that I was really happy to be able to do for them, and to show them kind of like what their hard work came out to be.
That's wonderful. I'm sure it was a great moment for them and the pride that they have in you.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did you go to undergrad?
I went to the University of Florida.
What did you study while you were there?
I studied political science and then discovered Latin American studies at some point during that portion, and then also discovered Spanish as a degree there because I wanted to keep the language and not lose it so much after leaving home.
That's great. So have you been able to use what you learned in college and in your different steps along the way here in DC?
Yeah, for sure. Political science obviously is like the most clear, direct path with my political career. Latin American studies definitely brought a lot of the work, because I used to do a lot of work also on immigration. Kind of understanding why people migrate to the United States was a very important part of my job for a good period of time. And then Spanish, obviously, with a lot of the roles as a Latino, you always kind of get put into wanting to speak to people who can speak Spanish. So it's always a great thing just to have in the back of your mind, being able to speak it, read it, do all the things. It really does help other people feel more comfortable talking to you.
I love that you have such a focus on making people comfortable talking to you and in the surroundings. That's wonderful, and a great value for all of our CHLI leaders. Is there one particular project that you're really proud of from your time working at the White House?
Sure. I mean, I think we did a lot of great work while I was there, and the president has done historic accomplishments for the Latino community. And I think one of the things that I was the most proud of was we built up a Diaspora Day event series. As you know, like I said, like I'm Peruvian. I grew up in Central Florida. There was a lot of different Latino cultures there, so I wanted to make sure we brought that into the White House as well, and we made sure that folks saw the diversity of the Latino community. So we did different diaspora days from Cuba, Colombia, Venezuela, El Salvador, Peru, Dominican Republic. It all came from an idea that Rep. Espaillat had, and then we just kind of built off of it with different countries to not only bring them to the White House and kind of expose the culture, but also to let them know the work that we were doing to benefit their everyday lives.
That's wonderful to really showcase the diversity of thought.
Yes.
I love that. Now, in your time at NASA, what does it mean to be a public engagement advisor?
Sure. It's basically the same of what I've done in other places, which is to bring people to know what's happening in the federal government and to understand the opportunities that are available to them. This is one of the first times the Administrator's Office has had an engagement team. And our work has been to make sure that the President's Executive Order on Equity is being executed throughout the agency, and making sure that people are having access to all the different whether it's procurement, whether it's internship opportunities, whether it's job placements, right? Our job is to make sure that people are aware that those are out there and make sure that they're able to apply and answer questions that they might need when it comes to that.
Sounds like you're a great ambassador then for the agency. What has most impressed you about NASA? Have you always been interested in space?
Yeah, I mean, I always liked science when I was little, but I never saw necessarily a career in science or in STEM. So I think like when I was working at the White House, I saw that STEM was a very important thing for people to kind of know that there are opportunities out there, especially when we were after we passed the Chips and Science Act, right? Like how do we get our community to get involved into these things? So I work with the National Space Council, which is under the Vice President's office, for a Latino STEM event with Hispanic Heritage Foundation, and that's kind of how I started my interest in that in space, and we worked alongside NASA. So when this opportunity opened here at NASA, it was kind of like, okay, well now it's another opportunity to kind of explore that path and also make it accessible to people for them to know earlier on in their careers that this is something that they can access. And through the Office of STEM Engagement at NASA, we have been able to do a lot of great work and partner with organizations to make sure that they're spreading the word out as well for the opportunities.
That's wonderful. You've had such an impressive career since you started as a CHLI intern. What advice would you give incoming CHLI interns so that they can have such an impressive resume like yours?
I think the advice I would give folks is like don't close any doors, right? Even if you don't know what's ahead, just kind of say yes. And especially when you're so young and you're starting in your career, I think exploring all the different things that are out there is really important. So you learn what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And most importantly, learn what's out there, right? I think a lot of folks know that there is maybe like ledge work and comms work, but they don't know that there's engagement work that's also being done. They don't know that there's opportunities in agencies that could potentially be open to them. So just really just being open to those things and talking to as many people as you can. I think that's what really does help in getting these opportunities.
Well, that's wonderful advice. Thank you so much. I hope that all of our global leaders can be as successful as you've been.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to The Purple Line. For the latest updates, follow CHLI on social media at THECHLI. And you can follow me at EMBENA. Thank you for joining us on The Purple Line.